new podium. Are you good at networking? Do you continuously reach out and make new acquaintances? Networking is an important part of life. It makes your life more rewarding and enjoyable. And also part of Christianity, because it teaches you to love your neighbor and love your enemy. I've been doing networking. Oh, I forgot something. I need some books. Excuse me. Yeah. I'll get some books. I can read. Okay. I continuously learn about networking and keep learning about it. I learned a lot of networking by reading a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I also take some courses by it. I continually read about networking, and the last one I'm just got through reading was Difficult Conversations. It helps you in speaking. I also go to other networking events. Like in church, I go to my business network every month. I also go to other type of activities where I have business networking. And I go to activities that help do a lot of things. I go to men's ministry at my church. We do that every Thursday morning. I go to Knights of Columbus. I go to St. Vincent de Paul. I go to Tai Chi classes. Obviously, I come to Toastmasters. When I graduated from the university, I had an economics degree, but I was in the ROTC. They put me in the Army Corps of Engineers as an economics major, which was really strange. They sent me to Fort Belvoir in Washington, D.C. to an engineering officer's basic course. I knew nothing about engineering. Terrible. But I had a lot of people in the class that really helped me learn. And it was very enjoyable. Also got involved in politics up there. Washington, D.C. is part politics, so I got involved in that. Also decided I liked skiing, so I got into a ski club. I wanted to go skiing during the winter time. But this summer, they also had a lot of sports and activities that you could go to. Then I also liked dancing. So I went and joined the Square Dance Club. And I met a lot of people there. One in particular I got engaged to. Wow, what fun. When I got through being in there, they sent me to Heidelberg and Mannheim to be in the housing area. I knew nothing about housing. But the person who was the head of the housing department was from England. He was a very interesting person. What I learned from him is you don't look at people in your company or your business as people. You don't look at them as people, but you learn them as friends. And he had a lot of friends in there. And he did a lot of work. They did 90% of the work, and he didn't have to hardly do much. But he did a lot of work for the general officers in the area and really had a lot of fun. What he also did is every Friday he had a party at 4 o'clock. And all these people in his office were German. And they all came to the party, but he had a lot of general officers there too. So we started the party, and later on, when the party was kind of halfway over, we left and went to people's houses and a lot of officers' places, and we went to also to the officers' club and had lots of parties. This went on for all the time, and you had a lot of alcohol, which was fun too. You learned to drink and have fun. When I was living in Germany, I had to live somewhere, so I decided to go and get an apartment in the German economy. Basically, I met a person, I went out and looked around and I found this apartment place, and I got me a German apartment, and the owner was German. I lived on the bottom floor, and he lived on the second floor. We became good friends. He took me out and introduced me and showed me a lot of Heidelberg and Mannheim. I learned a lot about people. I learned a lot about the area. And he had parties all the time, and we invited me over, and I had parties in my place, and I invited the party to go over. So I got to know people pretty well, which was kind of strange because I couldn't speak German. So I went to the University of Heidelberg and took German classes. But they also had them in the military, so I took the German classes during the military. So I learned a lot about German, and he also helped me do that. After that, basically I was assigned to go to take another course in California, but I didn't want to do that. So I decided to take an engineering equipment officer's course at Fort Belvoir. I knew nothing about equipment, engineering equipment, but there was a lot of people in the class that did. And there was a guy there from Germany that I got to know. When I went to Germany, he was in Karlsruhe, and I looked him up. We became good friends, mainly because he was living in the same BOQ that I was in. He didn't have a car, so I drove him back to work, and we partied a lot, went out to supper, and drank a lot of fun. But when I found that in Karlsruhe, I also went over there and met with him, and he took me around and showed me a lot of people, and I met a lot of people. What I found out later on, he was an ex-Nazi. I thought, that's strange. But anyhow, once I got out of school, I was assigned to the housing office in Heidelberg, Mannheim, Germany. I learned a lot about people because the person who was the head of that housing office was English, but he looked at his people as friends and not people. He also let them do the work. He trained them and he gave them a good salary. They did 90% of his work for him, and he basically did much of it. The work he did was for the German officers doing special projects over there. I learned a lot from him, and I learned how to treat people, that you have to look at people as not just something, but something special. After I lived there, I went there, and finally I got through there, and then I got promoted to a first lieutenant, and they put me a property book officer. That was also in Heidelberg, Mannheim. Basically, I got to an office and I had 12 Germans. I knew nothing about property book officers. So they basically showed me how to be a property book, do property book work, and I gave them the opportunity to do that. So I continued to do that. But then, after that, I went to Vietnam, and I was a platoon leader. I learned a lot about people in platoons. And I also got promoted to a company commander, and I ran a company. So learning people and being with them and learning how to communicate and negotiate with them makes a difference in your life, and it'll make your life more rewarding and more enjoyable.